Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod with Eugene Nilus. He's founder at Beck Lab and Y2 Lending and Y2 Capital Group. We're gonna talk about lending. We're gonna talk about debt funds. Eugene's also an author and a podcaster. He's into many things. Also, a Krav Maga black belt. It's pretty cool. An investor. He's in the SF Bay Area. So we're gonna talk about a bunch of topics today. We're gonna also have Podpire present this podcast today. It's my podcasting agency. If you want to start, scale, and monetize your podcast and have it become an ikigai activity in which you can make funds, you can grow your network, you can grow your neurons up there. So podcasting is pretty fun, especially when you're making money. I can help you do that. Go to podpire.com. Eugene, welcome to Pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Hey, Charles, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, so my name is Eugene. I'm from California, currently live in Bay Area, married, have 3 kids. I've been in tech for 20 plus years. I've been on the engineering side and the marketing side. And I've been in real estate for over 5 years now. I love buy and hold multifamily asset classes. I'm a hard money lender, and I'm a co-founder of the debt fund that basically is for accredited investors that want to diversify their portfolio, invest into lending, and get stable high yield returns. Like you mentioned, I'm also a podcaster, and I recently launched self-published 2 of my books as well.
So how did you get in this space? Because I see that you worked at a company I was using for a past startup of mine, Shippo. You've occupied various jobs. At what point did you decided to launch yourself out there?
That's a good question. About a year and a half ago, I was laid off with 20% more of the people from my company. I was a triple, and I decided to, start something on my own, and try myself out as an entrepreneur and get into various things that I was interested in. So how did I start at how did I start doing lending? Very good question. At some point I joined a mastermind group that was all about multifamily asset class in real estate, how to analyze it, how to take it down, how to partner up with people, and basically learn everything that you need to learn about multifamily asset class. And I started connecting and networking with lots of people in that group. That group had about 300 people, and those people were all over the country. So I have now lots of connections in different states. And the way I started doing lending was one guy reached out to me asking for private money, and I had some money at the time. I got into a deal with that guy, so I lended him my own money, and another guy came, and we got into a deal as well. So, and I started getting more and more requests. I ran out of my own money. I brought a few investors, and we got into a few more deals. We ran out of money. I saw more and more deals coming, and I found a few more investors. So, and we funded a few more deals, and that's how it started. And then I decided, and then I thought, okay, well, there's something there, right? It looks like it could be something there. So I launched my hard money lending business, and to scale and grow that business, I knew I had to have a more scalable solution on the funding side, right? And I didn't wanna get into sort of brokering other money from other institutions. So I want to do this on my own, with my own money, basically with, attracting investors, pay them high yield returns, and then get those money and lend those money out, right? So arbitrage basically. And that's why I opened the debt fund. And when I opened the debt fund, I was at a mastermind event about lending for 3 days, where I learned from one of the, I would say, lending gurus, who had also a debt fund, a lending business, and they were putting on the street about $100 million a year. And I basically started replicating the steps that they took to get to that point. So I'm not really reinventing the wheel. I'm just following the steps, the steps of the people that already have done this before me.
When can one expect return in that industry? Can I get back? Can I get my money back in 2 years? And what kind of profits can I make?
So if you're referring to the debt fund for accredited investors, we basically pay distributions on a monthly basis. We pay between 8 to 10% yearly, depending on the investment tier, right? So anything, if investor wants to invest between 50 and 250K, we pay 8%. Anything between 250 and 1 million, we pay 9%. Everything above 1 million, we pay 10%. But the cool thing is we also compound that interest rate on a monthly basis. So we can make monthly distributions. Obviously, with monthly distributions, we can't really do the compounding effect. But if the investor want to take quarterly distributions or yearly distributions, then they can take the monthly compounding effect on their money and get more money out in, let's say, in 3 months or a year, wherever they want to do.
So when can I get a return exactly, and what kind of returns can that be? Is it 30%? Let's say that I lend $1 million to someone, I get that million back in a year, and I made 300K profits. So like, what would be some numbers here?
So let's say if you come in and say, hey, I wanna lend money, I mean $1 million, I have $1 million, I want to invest into a fund. Okay, that's great. So after a year, that money would yield you 10%. So you will get $100,000 basically after 1 year. You don't have to get your principal back. You can still leave your principal inside the fund, but the fund will be paying you 100,000 plus a year, right? Because we're also going to be compounding that money on a monthly basis.
And lending money, I was referring to. So what kind of returns can I get with that?
When you say, can you elaborate on lending money?
Yeah, you lend money to people, right? That's what you do. That's one of your main business. What kind of returns can you get off that business?
Oh, you mean like on the client side?
Right.
Okay. So on the client side, we lend between 12 to 15% a year, right? So we basically, if you lend out $1 million, we make between 120 and 150,000 a year, plus we earn money on points that we charge on the front end. So if the deal is just $1 million, just one deal, we charge 2 points, so it's plus 20,000. And if we turn that money twice, right? If we turn $1 million twice a year, then it's going to be not 20,000 but 40,000 on the front end. Plus, it's going to be a little bit more than 120, 150,000.
Over what period of time do you usually get that money back?
The money that we lend. So we participate in short-term lending. All our deals between 6 to 9 months.
So you get 20K in 6 to 9 months from lending 1 mil, right?
on the front end. Yes. And
Okay,
then
and what's the back
and then
end? It's like you lend some more.
no, so we lend money at the interest between 12 and 15% a year, right? So anytime during that year we make between on $1 million, we can make 120, $150,000. And let's say a deal lasts a year, for example, we charge 2 points up front before the deal happened, after we close the deal. So that's $20,000 more. So in reality, we can make between 120 and 150 plus 20K if the deal is 1 year.
Got it. And how do you find your clients? How do you make sure that they don't run away with your money?
Well, we take collateral. We take their property as a collateral. So we take first lien on properties. So we act as a bank, right? So if you go to the traditional bank, you want to get a loan, the bank will take your property as a collateral and hold the deed on that property. So this is exactly what we do. So you know, obviously, so if the client decides to run away, we have a good equity inside that property, because we want borrowers to bring their own money when they buy a property, plus we'll lend up to 70% of the future value, right? So we have a good equity inside that property that we can take back if borrower defaults on the property, and sell it and get our money back.
And do you have a system to find these people? Is it like Facebook ads? How do you get them to fill out the form?
Right now it's mainly organic and referrals, but I'm working on the process of getting more leads in our pipeline by doing more advertisement. So we're going to be adding a pay-per-click model, and we're going to be buying leads from people who already have leads.
And do you think you can scale that model? And if so, like, who are like major lenders nowadays? Is it bank or is there business that are just about lending?
I'm sorry, could you elaborate?
Yeah, can you scale your business, and if so, to what degree? Because it seems like a good business on the front end, but does it actually scale?
Oh, yeah, I think it's absolutely scalable. I can see what other lenders do. We are not the only one in this space, and to be honest, the space is a little bit like overcrowded. A lot of people are in this space. So two things that I'm doing right now is, number one, I'm thinking how to stand out among the crowd, right? So that's going to be more about branding and what we stand for, and what this bank is going to be all about, because we don't want to do, we don't want to go after all people, right? So we're going to have just a specific segment that we want to go after and just be just for that specific segment, right? So we're going to be niching down. And I think it's absolutely scalable because I can see what other lenders are doing. I don't think you have to be lending billions of dollars to make good money. But we do want to get up to 100 million lending every year, and then we want to run this business for about 5 years or so, and then sell it to a private equity firm.
And then that's why I'm guessing you have a debt fund. It's to get 200 million quicker. So to have a bunch of people chip in, and with that you can make 2 mil a year in profits. I mean, why stop there? Does it stop scaling after that, or?
No, I mean that's a plan for now. Like the short-term plan, I would say the 3-year plan is to get up to 100 mil, and then if we can get bigger, we haven't discussed that yet, but it's just like, let's get to 100 mil a year and then we'll see, right? So either we're gonna run it for a few more years with a top line of 100 mil every year, or if we decide to go further, we'll go further. So I think it will all depend on how we feel about it at that
Then
time.
you have Beck Lab. Like, why did you decided to start that one? It's a nice cash flow generator, I guess.
Yeah. So how did Backlab started? I I was talking to, well, first of all, I'm also like a business consultant, and I consult a few companies. The What it was before is just like a consulting gig, but what is it heading now is it will be becoming a full type of PPC agency. And how it all started, I had a conversation with one of my buddies. He's a real estate investor. He was using a PPC advertisement company, and he was complaining about how that agency was not as good as he was hoping for. And that got me thinking that, okay, so if he's the one complaining about it, maybe there are more people that complain about it that use agencies. So I talked to a few more people, same type of feedback. What I did, I contacted all people on LinkedIn that I had access to at the first degree level connection. And I just sent a message saying like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is the team that I'm putting together, and this is how we can help, right? And I got a few replies back, and we started the conversation, and we are onboarding a few clients next month to start doing PPC work for. And I think I can, I can grow this to 10, 15 clients by the end of the year. And the goal would be, obviously to help small, mid-sized businesses with their PPC initiatives and scale their AdWords accounts, Google Ads accounts, BNS accounts. And then the next goal after that would be to hire a good operating person to take over. So I would not be in that business myself, but would be on that business, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's such a hard thing to do, though. Tried it before. It's super hard to find a trustworthy CEO and have them agree to the nature of these deals. Still possible. Then the podcast, where do you want to scale it? Do you want to monetize the pod, or do you want to just use it as a tool to meet more people?
That's a great question. I I started that podcast. By the way, so it's called The Shift. Build your life on your own terms. So I started that podcast while I was on my W-2 job because I always wanted to do something outside of my W-2 job. So I started that podcast interviewing people who were on W-2 before, but then they switched. They shifted to become business owners or entrepreneurs, right? So, and selfishly enough, I started just for my own personal reason, just because I wanted to learn, the mindset, why people did it, how they did it, and it was pretty scary at the time. Never done any podcast before, and I was like, I remember I was like I was very scared of like interviewing people and then putting the podcast out into the wild because I didn't know what people would think. But then I was like, okay, I don't care. I don't care what people think. I'll just do it for myself, and I'm going to get it out. And so that's how I started, and I started interviewing more and more people inside the real estate world, inside the business world, and that's how it's going right now. So this is I started advertising my own businesses on that podcast. So right now it's more like I'm trying to convert that into a lead generation tool for my businesses, if that makes sense.
How do you actually follow up with these guests to generate leads? What are your mechanisms here?
Do you mean with guests that I already brought, or with
Yeah.
new people that I want to attract?
Yeah, your podcast, you just mentioned that you use it as a lead gen mechanism. How so?
Well, so one of the things that I do is when I interview guests, I put um, in a description of the podcast, I advertise my own businesses when I publish the podcasts. And what I started doing, another thing that I started doing inside the podcast, I started interrupting my podcast and just doing like a 15-20 second commercial where I talk about the businesses that I run, and if people need help, they could reach out.
Add description link. I guess they organically follow up, share the podcast. Once you follow up with them, uh, is there like network full of your target audience? Because it seems that you're still promoting the lending thing, or are you promoting as well the growth agency?
At the moment, I promote only a debt fund and the lending business. The agency is something very new. It's something right now. I'm still thinking how to insert that, if that makes sense.
It does. Where can people find out more about you, Eugene?
Yeah, pretty easy, and I can give you my phone number. It's 415-725-0311. They can call me anytime. My email address is Eugene, EUGENE at y2lending.com. So they can email me at any time. I'm also on Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm happy to provide those links as well.